And thanks for joining us. I'm Jurnee Taylor, as I mentioned, and I hope you've been enjoying your day so far. I want to bring in my friend, meteorologist Nathan Scott, who is joining us now. And Nathan, we finally made it to Hump Day on this Wednesday.
We did, yes.
What can we expect for the rest of the day today?
Well, good afternoon to you, Jurnee. It depends on where you're watching us from, because when we take a look at the visible satellite with the temperatures on the board, it's a wide variety. It's 75 right now in Jonesboro, socked in with lots of clouds, 86 here in Little Rock, 91 in Arkadelphia, and they've already hit 100 in DeQueen and Texarkana. We have a front slicing its way through the state right now, and there you see it. To the south and southwest of the front, you are still baking and frying with those heat indices reaching over 100, Arkadelphia, Camden, and eventually also into El Dorado. To the north of the boundary, the temperatures, the heat index, into the 70s in northeast Arkansas. We do have a heat advisory as close as Garland County, but especially down to the south, just because those feels like numbers will go up to 105 to as high as 110. For temperatures across the state, huge range. Triple-digit heat for southwest Arkansas. We'll go with the low, maybe mid-90s here in central Arkansas, but Searcy, 87 degrees, and then maybe only the low 80s in Jonesboro. This front will usher in some cooler numbers, slightly cooler numbers for everybody on your Thursday. That's front number one. We've got a second front arriving here just in time for the weekend. On that forecast coming up.
All right, Nathan, thank you. Well, the Democratic ticket is now set. Kamala Harris is officially the Democratic presidential candidate, and her new running mate, Governor Tim Walz, are now taking their show on the road. Natalie Brand has more on their campaign stops in a couple of key Midwestern states.
Vice President Kamala Harris is heading to the battleground states of Wisconsin and Michigan for her first full day of campaigning with new running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz.
Since the day that I announced my candidacy, I set out to find a partner who can help build this brighter future.
The Midwestern governor introduced himself during their first rally Tuesday night in Pennsylvania.
I worked across the aisle on veterans issues, on agriculture, and on ways to grow rural economies. I learned the art of compromise without compromising my values.
Voters at that rally said they liked what they heard.
I think he appeals to people because he has this sense of being like a trusting coach or father figure in your life.
While Democrats in Pennsylvania seemed happy with the pick, former President Donald Trump also welcomed the choice.
He's a very liberal man, and he's a shocking pick, and I'm thrilled. I could not be more thrilled.
Trump's running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, is carrying that message that the Democratic ticket is too liberal to the same battleground states where Harris and Walz are campaigning today.
This is a radical human being who comes from the far left wing of the Democrat Party. And what Kamala Harris is telling all of us by selecting Tim Walz is that she bends the knee to the far left of the Democrat Party.
But Walz was picked in part for his moderate and independent voter appeal. He won 6 terms to Congress in a rural district that voted for Trump in 2016. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
And of course, with that announcement official, here's what we know about Governor Tim Walz. He joined the National Guard as a teenager and served for 24 years. Walz paid college tuition using the GI Bill from the military. And after graduation, he taught school in China before moving to Nebraska, where he continued his career as a school teacher. In 2006, Walz was selected to Congress from Minnesota's 1st Congressional District, serving 12 years. He ran for governor in 2018, winning by more than 11% and going on to be reelected in 2022. Now, as governor, he passed a sweeping progressive agenda, including free school meals, codifying abortion rights, legalizing marijuana, and enacting paid family leave. In developing now, Arkansas Governor Sarah Sanders is announcing the largest pharmaceutical enforcement action in state history. The governor and the state insurance department announcing a notice of penalties levied against 4 major pharmaceutical benefit managers, or PBMs. Caremark, Magellan, Express Scripts, and Med Impact are all accused of violating state laws. This could result in just under $1.5 million in penalties. Now, in a statement, Governor Sanders says in part, quote, PBMs have been allowed to skirt the law for too long. Today, my administration is taking an important step to holding big pharma accountable. The governor adds, quote, "This action sends a message that Arkansas will protect seniors in rural pharmacies from PBMs taking advantage of them," end quote. Happening today, a new organization is set to launch aimed at supporting maternal health in the natural state. It's the Doula Alliance of Arkansas. The alliance's goal is to make high-quality doulas more accessible across the state. This afternoon, they'll have an announcement event, which will also mark the start of their executive director search. And now to a THV 11 update. With the summer coming to a close and students heading back to school, Arkansas health officials want you to be aware of a new COVID variant making its way across the country. KP.3 is the current dominant strand, and officials say it's very contagious. The state has recorded just under 2,100 COVID-19 hospitalizations this year. Most of those happened in the first 3 months, but doctors have also seen numbers go up since the start of summer. Dr. Robert Hopkins with UAMS recommends staying home until you're fever-free for 24 hours. Well, THV 11 Central is your back to school central, and it may seem hard to believe, but it's already time to start back to school shopping. Prices are more expensive than ever, but Caroline Vandergriff has ways to get everything on your list and still save some money.
Sterling White knows firsthand how back-to-school spending can spiral. He and his wife have 3 kids that need all the typical supplies.
It's very easy to blow the budget if you say, hey, let's just walk in and see what you have.
The National Retail Federation predicts total back-to-school spending in the U.S. will reach $39 billion this year. That's an average of $875 per household, up from $697 just 5 years ago.
I think inflation absolutely plays a part. You know, there is an aspect of social media, keeping up with the Joneses.
White is not only a consumer, but also a certified financial planner and has developed a series of tips to save.
The first thing you should do before you head into a store or load up your online shopping cart is to take stock of what you have at home. You may have a lot more than you remember. Then make a list of the essentials and start looking for discounts.
When you see a flash sale or you see something on Amazon, you say, hey, well, that's something I need. It was already kind of high on your priority list. You can get those at a lower price.
White says other ways to save include buying in bulk and splitting the cost with other families, swapping gently used clothes or gear, and timing your purchases carefully. He also recommends involving your kids in the process, especially if they're old enough to earn money from chores or a job.
And there's certain things that will say, hey, we will spend X amount on a backpack. If you want something nicer than that, you can go buy it out of your budget. And it teaches them the value of work.
Turning a yearly tradition into a lifelong foundational skill. Caroline Vandergriff, CBS News, Texas.
Meanwhile, one particular school district has come up with a new way to keep and attract teachers. Affordable housing, just a stone's throw away from the classroom. Well, welcome to Eastmore Heights in California. The 56-unit development includes a courtyard, community room, laundry room, and play area. Best of all, the commute? Well, it's just a short walk across the parking lot to school.
We used to get a lot of applicants who would interview for our district from out of state, but because of the high rent prices, they wouldn't accept the position. So now I heard that we have a plethora of new teachers from out of state who have moved in because of the housing.
Very interesting. Well, voters in the district approved a $33 million bond measure to pay for the housing. Now, California's Department of Education is looking to identify school-owned properties elsewhere in the state that could be developed for workforce housing. And still ahead, Tropical Storm Debbie is overrunning the East Coast. More on the deadly storm coming up in 3 minutes. Nathan?
And here closer at home, we're going to see some more comfortable nights ahead. Tonight will drop down to the 60s in many areas, but these numbers could even be lower going into the weekend as a second cold front will be marching its way through. I'll have more details on that coming up.